In today's draft, the top trade candidates for 2020. Chris, you have the trivia question that, as always, determines the first pick.
Yep, there's no way you're going to get this today, so just, guys, put it on there right now. Cam Newton will be my first pick. Cam Newton will be my first pick. Here we go. Greg Olsen signed with the Seahawks yesterday, as you know. Back in 2011, Olsen was traded by the Bears, stupidly by the Bears. I don't know why they traded him. He was traded
because Mike Martz doesn't use tight ends.
Yeah.
Is that the answer? I win.
Olsen was traded by the Bears to the Panthers for a third-round pick. The Bears then packaged that pick to acquire what Pro Bowl wide receiver? I even gave you a help there.
With the Pro Bowl wide receiver. See, you've set me up by making it seem like it's really hard. In 2011,
so hard.
Pro Bowl wide receiver is. Are you being serious?
I am.
Pro Bowl wide receiver, Santonio Holmes.
No, you're just like the Vikings quarterback. You can't deliver in big moments. You're just like him. Jeez, gosh,
you
you're
said
just
it,
horrible.
not me.
You're horrible. I get Brandon Marshall. Remember that?
Brandon Marshall. Well done. Yeah. Should have remembered that. All right. Go ahead. Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, pick number one. Of course, I'm going Cam Newton. I mean, first off, the guy's a handsome guy, and that was a lot. There's a few crazy outfits we just showed in that matchup, but a lot of them are really good outfits. I mean, I don't know if I can pull off the hat, but I like the outfits. But the man,
but he can pull it off.
He can,
because he is like a statue come to life. He can pull it off.
He's a Greek god. He is. I mean, he's a defensive end playing quarterback in the NFL. And he is an awesome football player. I say to anybody who acquires Cam Newton's talents at some point, yeah, you got a chance to win every game when he's on the field. When number one's on the field, you got a chance to win a football game. He is a phenomenal football player. And yes, I think with the Panthers and Matt Rule and Joe Brady and the new era in the Carolina, I don't think he's going to want to be a part of that completely, and I don't think necessarily they're going to really want him either. I think they're going to want their own fresh start and not having a guy part of the old regime being such a huge focal point in the locker room. I think they will look to trade him, and I'm with you. I think it's the Chargers, but I think Cam Newton is certainly the leader of this list.
The wild card in all of this is whether and to what extent Cam Newton is going to want a franchise quarterback contract. At $19.1 million in total compensation for 2020, he is at the low end of the veteran.
He needs more.
Quarterback
I know that.
Second contract market. So it's going to be more. Is it 25 to 30? Is it more than 30? He's going to have to show he's healthy. And you know what? It may just be a short-term contract or almost like a deal like the one Drew Brees signed with the Saints initially had a payment for 2006 and then a significant option bonus the following year that the Saints would not have picked up if Drew Brees ended up being not effective after having 26 studs in his shoulder from the injury he suffered in his last game with the Chargers. I'm going to go Andy Dalton, right? And look, it may be that at the end of the day, the Bengals have to just cut him or maybe just keep him. But at only $17 million, unless Dalton is going to be jostling for a new deal, that's a very tradable contract.
Yes, it is.
Of guys on their second deals, it's Cam Newton and it's Andy Dalton at the bottom of the barrel. And I think someone, when the dust begins to settle, is going to want Andy Dalton. Who knows? Maybe he'll be somebody's plan A right out of the gates.
Right.
Let's just get this done. Let's get Andy Dalton at $17 million so we don't have to get into this crazy bidding war that's going to be $25-30 million plus per year. Let's get Andy Dalton. Let's have him for a year, and then let's move forward. I still think there's a chance the Bengals keep him, depending upon what their draft plan is. But the longer they hold on to him, the harder it's going to be to get good value.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, I think Andy Dalton, whether he's signed to be, traded to be that like bridge quarterback for somebody, maybe he ends up in Carolina after they trade away Cam Newton and they go, okay, we know we're going to take a quarterback, but let's have a veteran guy in here who, we don't need to have the quarterback be the guy right away in year one. I could see something like that happen. I could also see a team like the Chicago Bears going, let's bring him in for $17 million. Let's do it. We're still paying Mitchell Trubisky rookie contract money, and if Trubisky gets
a lot for a backup.
It is a lot.
That's a lot
but
for a backup.
I think, like you always say, you have a total number for the position, and Trubisky, I think, is one of those guys that we got to put on alert right now. If they get off to a 2-2 start and he's played horrible football, that would be the time you'd go, I think we need to put Andy Dalton in or something like that.
Peter King has mentioned Andy Dalton to the Patriots so many times that it made me think he knows something. He claims he doesn't.
I know.
But he mentions Andy Dalton to the Patriots anytime the topic comes up.
Yeah, I don't know if Brady's not there. I don't know if that's a crazy thought either. That's what I mean. He could be the bridge guy for where they think Stidham might take over a few years. Who knows? But okay. My next one, I'm going A.J. Green. A.J. Green, Cincinnati Bengals. Like, you've heard me talk about the Bengals and the rebranding and all that. Andy Dalton, it sounds like he's going to be out the door. Like, the Bengals just need a new fresh start. Joe Burrow into town, just bring in a whole new crop of young receivers with him and let them flourish and grow together. I don't necessarily always think it's a great thing for a young quarterback to come in and then have a presence like an A.J. Green in the huddle, and who's going to want the ball. It almost puts more pressure on the young quarterback, a la like Cam Newton and Steve Smith Sr., right? That type of thing. That's all I'm saying there. Now, I know that right now A.J. Green is poised to be a free agent, but I would have a hard time thinking they're just going to let him get out the door free here. I would think that at the very least they franchise tag him.
Tag and trade,
right? And I just think, yes, that there's going to be a market for A.J. Green, whether it's the Patriots, the Packers, somebody I would think is going to call him, because I still think there's a lot of tread left on that tire.
Or tag and keep and then trade him during the season if the Bengals end up struggling like they did last year.
That could be.
Getting more immediate value when you can. Hey, if Mohamed Sanu was worth a 2 last year, what's A.J. Green worth if he's available the trade deadline this year? So, yes, I agree with you there. All right, next one for me is Le'Veon Bell. They almost traded him in 2019, right before the trade deadline. He came out and said it was the Chiefs, it was the Texans, it was the Packers, it was the Steelers who were in on the action, and they ultimately didn't do a trade because Le'Veon Bell was unwilling to adjust his contract. He's due to make $13.5 million this year, fully guaranteed. Hey, that's not much more than what the Steelers paid him 3 years ago under the franchise tag. I wouldn't be stunned if the Steelers bring him home. I really wouldn't be.
I wouldn't either.
And I think that some of these other teams, we've already mused about the possibility of the Chiefs upgrading their running game with Le'Veon Bell for this year. Can you imagine Le'Veon Bell in that offense? My God, just give him the trophy now.
It would be amazing. It really would. And I'm with you. I think the Steelers, if this comes down to it, will be a team that is very much involved in the conversation for Le'Veon Bell. But, yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, I think the Jets, I'm not going to pick this guy with my next pick, but I'll throw it out there. Maybe you end up using him. I mean, the Jets, Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Adams, I think they're both guys that I'd say watch out for. I don't know necessarily if I'm convinced that the Jets are in love with Jamal Adams. I don't know if they want to deal with it. I don't know. I have no inside knowledge there. I think Jamal Adams is arguably the best safety in football. I want to make that clear. But, as we've seen, he's a personality. He's loud. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and that can rub coaches and GMs the wrong way at times. But that's not my pick. My pick is Trent Williams. Trent Williams, Washington Redskins.
No! Bruce Allen's gone. He's going to stay.
You think so, for sure?
With Ron Rivera. Yes, he's staying.
Okay, fine. Then I'll take Jamal Adams.
Guess. All right, that's fine. Well, I wasn't going to take Jamal Adams anyway. But I think they're trying to mend the fences there. I think they want him to stay. And I think the fact that Bruce Allen's gone and they've made other changes could be just what it takes to get Trent Williams to decide.
I think I want my Trent Williams pick still. I still think he's going to get traded. I think it's over. I don't think he's going to want to be a part of it. I just think it's over. I'm still staying with Trent Williams. Screw you. You're not scaring me off my picks. Trent Williams.
All right. I was thinking about taking David Johnson. We've addressed his situation, $10.2 million fully guaranteed. I think there could be a trade market maybe to a team like the Buccaneers and Bruce Arians, who was the coach of the Cardinals when Johnson was drafted. But you either have to send the whole contract with a draft pick like the Texans did when they unloaded Brock Osweiler's deal on the Browns 3 years ago, or you're going to have to pay some of the money to get the Bucs to take on that contract for this year. Either way, it's not going to be a trade where there's a significant amount of value flowing to the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, if they've got the cap space, they may as well just keep the guy around because maybe second year in Cliff Kingsbury's offense will really take off, especially if they aren't able to keep Kenyon Drake. So my pick is Sammy Watkins. And I know that, the Chiefs are saying they want to work it out and they want to keep him around and it's important to have him, but it's a huge salary obligation this year, $13 million plus, and it may be that they use the possibility of trading him to another team to get him to take less to stay. You never know what's going to be that factor that gets a guy to say, okay, I'll cut it from 13 down to 9 or something like that. Because, look, he has been an important part of the offense, but he's not worth $13 million plus based upon his production. No. And at some point you got to trust the young guys. You got to hope Mecole Hardman, who basically was a no-show in the Super Bowl, you got to hope Mecole Hardman, second year in the system, could maybe become what Sammy Watkins was for a lot less money than what they'll be paying Watkins. So I could see him get traded to a team like the Packers.
Yeah,
Chris, wouldn't that be? Wouldn't you love to have Sammy Watkins playing with your guy Aaron Rodgers?
No doubt about it. I do. I mean, I think them, again, the New England Patriots, they could all be interested in a guy like Sammy Watkins for a one-year type deal that way, whatever it may be. He's still got talent, as we saw. I mean, that was one of the biggest plays of the game, him beating Richard Sherman off the ball on that second touchdown drive there in the fourth quarter that ultimately put the Chiefs up ahead. But you're right. And the Chiefs, too, with McCole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, they've shown the affinity to have a very good eye for the wide receiver position talent-wise as far as draft. And, yeah, Sammy Watkins' number as far as what he's getting paid does not match the production, certainly. Who else did you think about on this list? Like, I had O.J. Howard on here. I put him as I mentioned, I talked about Jamal Adams. I'll tell you the other one I had on the list, Mike, and this is from your team. That's why I'm bringing it up. Stephon Diggs. I just wonder there. Had somebody tell me earlier that he's wiped away maybe some of his Minnesota stuff on social media.
On his Instagram page or something like that. Look, he can be a little temperamental, and I love him. We've had him at the Super Bowl each of the last 3 years.
One of our favorites.
I didn't get the vibe when we were with him that he's detaching emotionally or mentally from the Vikings.
Me neither.
But, he's going to keep his cards close to the vest. But they're not using him the way they could or should in light of what they're paying him. They're paying big money to Adam Thielen, big money to Stephon Diggs. If you're not going to use those guys, you're better off moving on from one of them and saving the cap dollars that they're going to need for other positions. So that one doesn't stun me. If it happens, I'm not going to be shocked at all. And there's always been that notion that he could end up back in Washington. Kind of a hometown team. He went to school at Maryland, and anytime this bubbles up, it's that Washington connection. And maybe with Ron Rivera there, they make the move to try to bring him to D.C. All right, we got to take a break. Quick recap. Simms has Cam Newton, A.J. Green, and then Jamal Adams, no. Trent Williams, no. Jamal Adams, no. Finally, he settled on Trent Williams. I've got Andy Dalton, Le'Veon Bell, and Sammy Watkins to the Green Bay Packers, playing with Aaron Rodgers. We got to take a break.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.